Well, howdy everyone, my name's Chris and today I'm going to be looking at the Canon 17 to 85mm IS USM lens. This lens is designed as a nice upgrade to your kit lens, offering a much longer focal range, up to 85mm, a very nice USM autofocus motor and better build quality. However, it's quite an old design now, so how does it stack up on a modern digital SLR camera like my 18MP Canon 60D? And does it handle well for video making? Well, I took it on a day trip to Canterbury to get some pictures and find out. As you can see, it's surprisingly big for a lens with quite a small aperture, only starting at f4 and going down to f5.6 as you zoom in. This lens does not let in a lot of light, so it's a good thing it has image stabilization. The lens is built fairly well, although it is a tiny bit wobbly and plastic, but at least it's not very heavy. The zoom ring is fairly smooth and easy to turn. The lens has full-time manual focusing, so you can change the focus anytime, and the front element doesn't turn during focusing, which is really useful if you're using a polarizing filter. I really like the focus ring on this lens. It's very smooth and it turns just the right amount for precise focusing, and it doesn't need to be turned too much, which is useful during filmmaking. In this footage, you can see me doing a focus pull. It's really nice to use. The autofocus is very fast, quiet and accurate. Here you can see and hear it at work. I really liked using this lens for video work. It handles really nicely and the image stabilization is very well behaved. It's very smooth. As you can see from this footage, it's not bad at zooming in and out. The image stabilization isn't jerky or anything, unlike in some Tamron lenses. So it's a little big and plasticky, but otherwise the lens handles really nicely. Let's take a look at the all-important picture quality. At its widest angle, 17mm, we're off to a bit of a bad start. The lens is quite sharp at 17mm, which is commendable. But in the corners we can see wild chromatic aberration, which doesn't go away even as you stop the lens down to f8 or f11. This is some of the worst chromatic aberration I've ever seen, and it's easily visible in normal scenes, like this picture on the waterfront. The good news is though, you can get rid of chromatic aberration by using editing programs like Canon Digital Photo Professional, which comes free with most Canon cameras. At 17mm there are other problems too. There's very heavy vignetting. As you can see, the corners in this shot are very dark indeed. Now you can use peripheral illumination correction on your camera to help with this, at a cost of lower image quality in the corners. Another problem at 17mm is the enormous barrel distortion, which is some of the worst I've ever seen, at least on a non-fisheye camera lens. But the good news is that at 24mm it goes away, turning into slight pincushion distortion at 85mm. This can also be corrected in Digital Photo Professional, again at a cost of picture quality. As we zoom in a little, the image quality gets much better. A lot of problems go away by the time you zoom in to 35mm. The lens is fairly sharp, getting sharper as you stop down to f8, and the chromatic aberration in the corners retreats quite a bit. At 50mm it's still averagely sharp, getting better as you stop down to f8. The chromatic aberration has finally gone and the picture quality is really nice. Zoomed all the way into 85mm and things get slightly worse again. With the aperture wide open at f5.6, the picture is a little soft and chromatic aberration returns in the corners. Things improve as you stop down to f8 and the image quality is generally acceptable, if not mind-blowing. As you can see in these pictures, the colour and contrast of the lens are fairly good. As you can see in this footage, the lens performs quite well against bright lights. There's a little lack of contrast and not much camera flare. I also really like the quality of the bokeh. I think those out of focus areas in the background look nice and smooth. The macro performance on this lens is also fairly good. You can get quite close to flowers and other things to get good pictures. So on the whole, I think this is a nice lens to handle, and it's pretty good for video work, and also the focal range of 17 to 85mm is very nice indeed. But there are some problems with image quality, especially at 17mm, where there's a real witch's brew of problems, most notably the unstoppable chromatic aberration. Still, at the end of the day, it is capable of taking nice, sharp pictures, and the picture quality is better than a typical super zoom lens. It's not an expensive lens either, so if you can find it for a good price, this could be a good lens for you.